There we go. Today, title it some nice and fun and big words. Rationalize the denominator. Fifth hour. Rationalize the denominator. So here's an example of a problem. Come on now. There we go. Corbin, shut it. Gavin, shut it. You don't need them open. You should have your journals and you should be ready. Okay. In the world of math, big star, you cannot have a variable in the denominator. Oh my goodness, you cannot have a radical. You cannot have a radical in the denominator. Now, all week this week, we've talked about radicals. What are radicals? Yeah, the square roots, right? Square roots, cubed roots, fourth roots, whatever. Any kind of root is a radical. One of the rules of math is just like how in what was the rule in chapter 7? What was a bad thing? What did I say continually was a bad thing? And we had to simplify the problem to get rid of the bad thing. Can anyone remember? Negative exponents. Good. So this is the bad thing, is you can't have radicals in the denominator. So what we do is we have to rationalize the denominator in order to get rid of them. The way we do that is we times the top and the bottom by whatever the bottom is. So we times the top and the bottom by whatever the bottom is. And then we just times straight across. So what's the square root of 2 times the square root of 5? The square root of 10. Does anyone know what the square root of 5 times the square root of 5 is? No. Just 5. And there's your answer. I'm going to show you. So this is one of the really cool things about radicals. Because if you guys think about it, the square root of 5 times the square root of 5 gives us the square root of 25, right? If we factor it, we get 5 and 5. So we have the square root of 5 times 5, which gives you a pair right there. So you're going to bring one of them out and cross the other one off, and you're basically just left with that. See you later, boss. Yep. So, now just to tell you, if we don't write this, but if you have the square root of 2 times the square root of 2, what do you think the answer is? 2. The square root of 1,276 times the square root of 1,276 is just 1,276 without the root. The square root of a Gavin times the square root of a Gavin is a Gavin. Okay? So, here we go. Here's another. Dre, head down 10 minutes. 2 over the square root of 7. Now. So, now, we're going to times the top and the bottom by square root of 7. So what's 2 times the square root of 7? No. Is this underneath a radical? No, so we don't multiply those. So the top just becomes that. Over 7. And there's your solution. Does that make sense how to multiply those two tops? Yeah. Okay? Here, try this one on your own. Square root of 2 over the square root of 3. Okay, so we should times the top and the bottom by square root of 3. which should give you the square root of 6 over 3 is your solution. Who got it? Okay, what about if you have this? No, what about if we had the entire fraction underneath the radical like that? Okay, watch. This gets simplified down. Those two things are the exact same. Okay? And now we know how to solve this because we just probably did a problem. So, Corbin, what do? Square root of 5. But yeah, multiply by the square root of 5, which gives us the square root of 30 over 5. Let me ask you a question. What about if I could, what should we do up here? You should always look to factor, right? To see if it's going to give you a pair. If it gives you a pair, you have to simplify it. Now, is 30 going to give us a pair? Oh, yeah. 30 gives us a 3, a 2, and a 5. Does it give us a pair? No. So that's our answer right here. Okay, so here's another one. So let's say we had 8 over 5, like that. So when we do this, we simplify it down to the square root of 8 over the square root of 5. We times the top and the bottom by square root of 5, which is going to give us the square root of 40 over 5. Do you think you could factor 40? I want you guys to factor 40 and see if you get any pairs. You will. What does it simplify down to?
5.
Close.
2 to the 10.
2 square root of 10 over 5 would then be your answer there. After you factor the 40. Okay? Now, this is something I've seen before, and I'm going to tell you it right now. I've seen problems before. These two numbers cannot be simplified. Because this isn't actually 10. Right? The square root of 10 is like 3.1. But if these numbers, so for example, if this number right here happened to be a 10, those two numbers can be simplified. Because 10 divided by 5 would be 2. If that was the case, your answer would just be that. Yeah. Okay? Now, I don't know if you'll see one of those today. These two numbers never can be simplified, but if these two numbers can go into each other, simplify it. Okay? Any questions for me? That's it. Shorter lesson, 8 problems. Yeah. No, that ain't the right answer. This should say 2.